Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Troll.
(1973 to 1976). Welcome back, baseball fans. Of 1973-76 Carryover League. We are in the divisional round of the playoffs in the American League today. We have a series between the Chicago White Sox and the Ohio Players. Here's the bracket for the divisional round. Baltimore is a 1 seed, 10 over 500. White Sox a 2 seed, 5 over. Ohio 3. Oakland is the 4. So you have Ohio and the White Sox. Ohio is the darling, the Cinderella story. It's been an incredible run here. They were floating around 500 at the All-Star break, and then they were in the elimination rounds a couple times. 7-game elimination against Cleveland, and Cleveland could not do it. So Ohio won 4-2. Then after doing that, next round, Ohio took 3 of 4 from the Yankees. And then in the third and final round, Ohio took 2 out of 3 from Texas. All that got them the division title as Detroit faded terribly. And then they played them again, did Ohio. They beat Detroit 3-0 here. They're on a roll. 4-2, 3-1, 7-3, 8-3, 9-4, 10-4. They're 12-4 coming into this series against the White Sox. White Sox, different story. They started slowly this year, tough schedule, played around 500 ball, overcame the Twins, and then they beat the Oakland A's 3-2 in their previous series. It's not a gaudy one-loss record, but it's very effective, and they're playing the best baseball all year. So Cinderella versus the White Sox in this one. Let's show you what's taking place. Game 1. It's Vita Blue versus Wilbur Wood, and I'm going to pencil this in as Vita Blue has the advantage. He's got his 76 card. Wilbur Wood's been struggling this year. He got a no decision in his last start against Oakland. Prior to that against Oakland, they knocked him around. It's been that kind of year for Wood, not showing much consistency. That all ends today, folks. The White Sox know the stakes. They know they need to wipe the floor with these Ohio player guys if they can. First inning, Brian Downing singles, but then he gets caught stealing. I guess the stolen base attempt, it is Vita Blue. You're trying to steal some runs. Well, you don't have to steal them, folks. Glenn Beckert walks, Dick Allen singles, Bill Melton singles, a Ken Henderson double, a 2-run single Lamar Johnson, a Bradford single. They strand a couple, score 4, get a guy caught stealing. Just a 4-0 game. In the second inning, it looks like trouble for Wood. A walk, single, K, single. Then a comebacker to the mound. Should have been an inning-ending double play, but it was ground ball C on the E6 pitcher. That's a tough break for Wood. So a run scores. He does get a strikeout to end the frame. It's 4-1. The White Sox are being patient, drawing the walks. Is not necessarily working, though. Downing walks in the second, as is Bill Melton. They're stranded. A fourth inning, Beckert walks, Dick Allen walks. They're stranded. We're thinking about, is Vita Blue at the point of weakness in this game? And my rule in this is usually 10 hits through 3 or 8 hits and 4 walks through 3. Or if you have 12 through 4, then 2 or 3 and more in the fifth. In any event, he gets through 7 innings, does Vita Blue. gives up 10 hits and 5 runs. Actually, he pitched to the first batter in the 8th, and we said we had enough. We've had enough of Vita Blue. He is put just way too many men on base, only in the game because their bullpen is that bad, and they ride their starters really hard. They have such a limited roster. Though the starting players are fantastic, Vita Blue and Demiri and Hall at the end, but it all adds up to a 5-1 White Sox win, and the story today of all this is Wilbur Wood corrects himself nicely. This is vintage Wilbur Wood after struggling all year. It looks like the 71 version. Maybe this Ohio team is not that good versus lefties. But the White Sox win Game 1 at home 5-1. Okay. Game number 2. White Sox 11-1. It is Bart Johnson gets the start, and we finally let Bart Johnson throw a complete game. In the 3rd inning, after 2 outs, he gives up a single and an RBI double to Dave Cash, and that is it. And instead of hooking this dude, we let him go for a complete game, so there it is, folks. Probably the first Bart Johnson complete game victory in a playoff series, in a divisional round series game, going 9 innings, 8 hits to 1 run allowed. Meanwhile, Ohio started Lynn McLaughlin. On paper, as good at or better than Bart Johnson, but the White Sox have got it clicking here, folks. Bottom of the 2nd, Henderson singles, Lamar Johnson singles, Buddy Bradford 3-run homer. Back-to-back doubles by Bucky Dent and George Orta. By the way, Bucky Dent's been on at least twice in every game of this series. 4th inning, Dent singles, leadoff hitter Orta doubles, Bill Melton doubles. 1, 2, 3, 5 singles in the 5th. They pulled McLaughlin after 5 innings, 13 hits, 9 runs. And then Mike Norris and Jesse Jefferson finished this one out. They are not very good, are those two particular players at this point of their career. Basically, Ohio has their starting rotation, the reputation of Tom Hall, which he's a little past his prime, and Larry Demiri, who has one decent year, and he's good against righties in it, not against lefties. That's what the pitching staff looks like. One of the weaker benches in the sport with Celerino Sanchez, Ivan DeJesus, and Pepe Mangual. All, yeah. But they've been winning because they've had some National League veteran presence in this lineup. You got Dave Cash, Dan Driesen, George Hendrick. Carlos May, former White Sox, is now on the opposing team. Bill Robinson, Elrod Hendricks from Baltimore. So they have players with postseason experience. It hasn't mattered. White Sox roll the Ohio players 11-1. Let's go to this weird Game 3. Game 3 in Ohio. It's going to be Jim Cott versus Rudy May in a battle of lefties. Early in this one, the White Sox, the visitors. Glenn Beckert walks. He doesn't score. Rudy May strikes out 3. 2nd inning, Buddy Bradford walks. He doesn't score. Rudy May strikes out 2 more. In the White Sox 3rd, Dent walks. Downing walks. Dick Allen walks. Bill Melton sac fly. Henderson RBI single. 2-zip. Bottom of the 5th inning. After an out, Jim Cott gets up a single to Orlando Cepeda, and then Celerino Sanchez. Ooh! Celerino Sanchez, they gave him power against lefties because he hit his home run against lefties. Rolls the homer chance on Jim Cott's card and gets it. It's a 2-2 game. Meanwhile, Rudy May walks another guy in the 4th, walks 2 more guys in the 5th. Inside rule, if you walk 10 guys in the game, I'm just taking you out because I'm sick of it. And it's a kind of a point of weakness thing. So in the 7th inning, after 2 outs, he walks Bill Melton. He walks Ken Henderson. That's 10. I've had enough. Let's close the book here. Rudy May, 6 2/3 innings, just 3 hits, just 2 runs, 10 walks, and 10 strikeouts for Rudy May. They go to Larry Demiri, one of 2 decent relievers. He walks the bases loaded, then he strikes out Bradford to end the inning. Meanwhile, Jim Cott is sailing along in this game and throws 9 innings. 9 innings, 6 hits, 2 walks, 2 runs, 4 walks, and 4 Ks. It is 2-2 after 9. Demiri's gone as well as a relief 3. He went 2 1/3 innings, giving up a hit, a walk, and 4 Ks. Extra innings, the White Sox have Gossage, a relief 4, Forster, a relief 3, Garman, a relief 2, and Bonson, a starter relief, available. Ohio has Tom Hall, a relief 3, and those other pitchers I mentioned aren't very good. So they go to Tom Hall, and sure enough, he manages to pitch a scoreless 10th, 11th, and 12th inning. Let's fast forward to the bottom of the 12th. Stan Bonson is coming in because it's a tie game, 2-2, and frankly, they're up 2-0 in the series. And frankly, Bonson's a pretty good pitcher. They all are, but they don't feel like wasting Gossage if it's not a safe situation on the road. So Bonson in his first inning of relief, it's a 3 up and 3 down. Second inning relief, he gets a couple hits and a strikeout. Actually, excuse me, he gives up just 1 hit in that second inning. Third inning of relief, a leadoff single to Orlando Cepeda. Pinch runner is Carlos May. After Elrod Hendricks pops out, pinch hitter Larry Lintz gets a base hit to left field, and Carlos May tries to go coast to coast with 1 out. Makes sense. You want to get in the scoring position, you'll go coast to coast with 1 out versus 0 or 2. But Bob Coluccio and his -2 arm throw him out of third base. That makes it 2 outs and a man at first, but that man is Larry Lintz. And Larry Lintz went to the All-Star game because of the double-A stealing he has. He steals second, so he's at second now with 2 outs. Pepe Mangual gets a single to right field. And Larry Lintz, a 17-runner, trying to score. Rounding third, and in right field, Buddy Bradford with a -2 arm throws him out at the plate. Heartbreak for the Ohio players, and great arms by the White Sox. A -2 in left, a -2 in right. They got a -1, Ken Henderson in center. This is a full team effort for the White Sox. They don't score, do Ohio. They got a single guy gets thrown out on the bases, a pop out, another single guy gets thrown out at home. Top of the 13th inning. Now it is Jesse Jefferson in there. Jesse strikes out the first batter, Buddy Bradford. Gets Tony Muse to the ground out. But then Bucky Dent gets on for the 3rd time in this game with a single. Orta singles. Dent doesn't get thrown out at third, or I should say Stinson singles. And then George Orta gets a single to right field. Dent runs off the Robinson arm and he scores. In the top of the 13th, and the White Sox take a 3-2 lead. Now it's time for Rich Gossage. Bottom of the 13th, Dave Cash singles. After a couple outs, there's a walk to Bill Robinson. And then George Hendricks strikes out to end the game. It's kind of a heartbreaking loss for the Ohio players. In a strange game where the White Sox had 8 hits and 11 walks. They reached base 19 times. They scored 3 times in this game. The other disturbing trend is that Brian Downing had a homer double chance and hit the double. It seems like in the last series against Oakland and in this series, if it doesn't say home run on the card, if you roll home run on your card, you're getting a home run. But if it's homer 1 of 14, double the rest, or homer 1 of 10, double the rest, White Sox aren't getting them. Meanwhile, we had this Celerino Sanchez gets his homer chance versus Jim Cott. The Ohio players reached base 16 times, scored just twice. So, 3 wins in a row for the White Sox. The writing is on the wall, you would think. And I will preface that by suggesting that it's more common in Strat-O-Matic to come back 0-3 in a 7-game series than in IRL baseball. At least for me, I've done it a decent number of times. So there's that. We're going to throw that out there just to say it. In a game 4. And also the White Sox are making a pitching change. They originally were going to give Wilbur Wood a day off and have him pitch game 5 because game 5 is now at home in the 2-2-1-1-1 format. But because they're up 3-0, they want Wilbur Wood pitching today in game 4 on 2 days rest and let Jerry Bell pitch back in Comiskey Park, figuring that home field advantage might help Jerry Bell a little bit. He might need it more than Wilbur Wood would. So Wilbur Wood will be pitching today. Let's get to our pitching matchups. And here he is, Wilbur Wood's card, in 1973, a 24-game winner with a 3.46 ERA and 359 innings. He's kind of been the girl with the curl. If you remember that old expression, when she is good, she is very, very good, or when she is bad, she's the pits, or something like that. He has been up and down. But, again, they're up 3 in the series, and Wood would still be available for a game 7 if you need him. So the plan is Wood in 4, Bell in 5, Cott in 6, Bart Johnson in 7, unless you want to go back to Wilbur Wood. And for you Ohio players, and he's in a real tough bind here, Doc Ellis. Doc Ellis, very good, 12-9, 3.15 ERA, 177 innings. However, he is a starter 6, and that is problematic because the White Sox bullpen will be missing Stan Bonson today. He went 3 innings yesterday, but unfortunately, Ohio will be missing Tom Hall and only an inning for Larry Demary, and they need Doc Ellis to simply, throw the LSD no-no today. Is what they need. They need Doc Ellis just to throw a complete game today and see what happens. I mean, this is what it is, folks, right? So it's either going to be some crazy Cinderella story or the predictable result. So, White Sox at Ohio in a game 4 from Dayton, Ohio, home of the Dayton, Ohio Players Band. Leading off for the White Sox, it's George Orta. 6'10", third X. Third is Sanchez, a 3.18. He makes the play. The other going theory on the Wilbur Wood is that the feeling is these Ohio players aren't very good at all against left-handed pitching, with Pepe Mangual, Sanchez, and Ivan De Jesus in the lineup. So that's why they prefer Wood and Cott in there, even though Bart Johnson had very little problem with them. It also puts former White Sox Carlos May on the bench, which is probably a good thing. You don't want a former teammate to get his revenge against you. So there's that. Bob Stinson, 66, is a base hit. Dick Allen, 39 is a walk. 2 on for Bill Melton. 69 flies to right. And with 2 outs, it's Ken Henderson. 42 pops to second base. Well, we don't even get to do the LSD no-no joke, as the White Sox already have a single in this one. So that's a shame. But let's just do it anyway, just to get it out of the way. So when Dave Cash was playing second base for the Pirates in that day in San Diego, every time you're not supposed to say anything, right? You're not supposed to, you're not supposed to sit near the pitcher. You're not supposed to say anything, right? But after every inning, as he was crossing the first base line, going to the dugout, he always would go, "You got a no-no going." It worked, though. On that day, it worked. Leading off for Ohio is Pepe Mangual. 1-4, 1-1-2-8 is a base hit for the ace stealer. You want to steal off the +1 arm? Sure. What else? You got nothing to lose. This team can do anything they want, anytime they feel like it, and no one's going to question it. He steals second. Dave Cash. 1-4, grounds to short. Dan Driesen, 68, flies to center. And with 2 outs, Ike Brown, 1-9. Base at the left field. Here comes Mangual. And he is a 17. He scores 1-0. I believe that's the first lead of the series for this team. Bill Robinson, 2-8, 1-1-5, base hit. They're on the corners for George Hendrick. 111 is a fly ball to right field. Top of the second inning, it's Lamar Johnson. 38 is a K. Buddy Bradford, 1-6. Let's take a look at the Buddy Bradford card in 1973. Try to figure out, where do you put this guy in your lineup? He's a right-handed batter, but he can only hit righties, and he plays every day. He's dismal against left-handed pitching. He hit just 238 because of that high percentage. But what we want to focus on is the brilliance versus righties. A homer on 5 and 6, plus singles and walks. Fantastic card. I love this card. Plus the defense. He's just, not a guy you would typically want to put at the top of the lineup all year long, right? And they bring in a lefty, you're kind of stuck, right? 1-6. Buddy Bradford ties the game at 1. Tony Muser. 63 pitcher X. Ellis is an E33. And that is an error on the dock. Bucky Dent, 2-4, has been on base multiple times throughout the series. East guy's the center. Runner at first, 2 outs for George batting out of order. 36 is single ... Runners on the corners for Bob Stinson. 6-12 flies to right field. What we also don't need is a fluke injury to Doc Ellis in this. That injury rule to pitchers. That would just destroy this Ohio team. Bottom of the second, leading off Orlando Cepeda. 57 is a K. Celerino Sanchez. 310's a base hit. You can't get this guy out, folks. I'm telling you. Ivan De Jesus. 2-7's a strikeout. And back up top to Pepe Mangual. 58. Flies left. Top of the third. It's Dick Allen. 38's a K. Bill Melton, 69. Flies to right. Ken Henderson, 2-8. It's a strikeout. Bottom of the third. Dave Cash, 5'11". Pitcher X. Woods, an E6. And that's an error on your E6 pitcher. Wow. That's a terrible break. That's a good E rating. Ace stealing Cash, he'll take off. And he's out on an 18. Bob Stinson, what a nice little pickup he has been for the White Sox. Switch hitting catcher. 1 out now, Dan Driesen. 2-7's a single. B stealer, we're going to do it anyway. And he is going to be 13-14. Yeah, he's going to be safe by a whisker. Barely. Ike Brown. 65 flies to right, and with 2 outs, it's Bill Robinson. 4-4 off of Wood, third X. It's Melton, a 3-26 at third. He gets up a single. The run does not score. They're on the corners with 2 outs. And it's George Hendrick. 45 is a liner to first. Wood gets out of the jam. Not as crisp as he was in game 1. But he's totally fine right now. It's just 1 run in 3 innings. Top of the fourth. Lamar Johnson, 2-4, left. Buddy Bradford, 1-7, homer 1, fly ball. That's the bad part of that card we looked at earlier, folks. The 1-7. 5 and 6 is fantastic. 7, not so much. Tony Muser, 5'11", short X. Ivan De Jesus, a 3E20, and he makes the play. Bottom of the fourth. It's Orlando Cepeda, 45, pops to first. Celerino Sanchez grounds a third. Ivan De Jesus, 1-4, he flies to left field. By the way, I didn't say their averages. Celerino Sanchez is a 219 hitter. Ivan De Jesus hits 184. This is not your grandfather's Ivan De Jesus. This is the Dodger version when he first got out of AAA. So, top of the fifth. It's Bucky Dent. 310, flies left. Batting out of Orta, 310 single. He's been on twice. C Stealer, +2 arm. Do you steal? Ooh, let's do an Orta steal. Let's switch it up a bit. You're up 3-0. For the same reason these guys will do anything down 0-3 in the series, the White Sox will do the same thing up 3-0 in the series. Let's try a stolen base. He's in there on 11. Surprise. Wasn't being held too closely. I don't normally run my C's for that reason, but there, he's in there. Against a +2 arm of Ike Brown. That's the reason he went. Runner at second, 1 out for Bob Stinson. 2-7. Let's take a look at this guy. So he had one of the hits in that yesterday's game. Den had the first hit. Stinson had the second one. And then it was Orta who had the game-winning hit, knocking in Dent. Stinson rolled a 2-7 then. He rolls a 2-7 now. It's a base hit to center field for a 261 hitting Montreal Expo catcher of 1973 with plenty of power and a switch hitting ability, and he likes to walk also. What a fun card. It's been a great addition here. It's a base hit to center field. Orta with 1 out. Do you run him? He's a 16. Hendricks got, what, a -1 armor? Running Orta. And he's thrown out on a 20. Got a little over their skis there. That's a shame. And he got caught, gunned down. Oh, well. Well, there you go. We had 2 Ohio runners got thrown out in the previous game, and now a White Sox guy gets thrown out. 2 outs now, Dick Allen. 210, he flies to center field. It's a 1-1 tie, folks. Just like the previous game was tied for a huge chunk of the game. Bottom of the 5th, 1-1. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
This game is sold out, folks. They were the laughing stock. This team had the first pick in the draft, the last 2 drafts. And now suddenly, boom, they're in the playoffs. How long are they going to stay this way? I don't know. 8 years in the future, though, they'll go to a Fall League championship. I think the closest thing I can suggest in the apples to oranges sort of thing in the NFL, there was a team who took a quarterback with the first overall pick 1 year, and then with a 5th overall pick, they took his wide receiver, and then they went to the Super Bowl. You know that team from the state, right? That would be a pretty cool analog, you know. I could see that comparison because those teams were terrible prior to those player additions. Bottom of the 5th, tie game, top of the lineup, Pepe Mengual. 37's a K. Dave Cash, 1-4. Grounds is short. Dan Driesen, 56, double 1 to 5 is a base hit. You want to steal? Of course! It's stealing day here in Strat-O-Matic. He's safe. It's the day we decide to steal all the time. Don't even look at the odds. It's like, let's just steal. He's at second base with 2 outs, and it's Ike Brown. 45, a liner to first, and that's what Mr. Wood can do. Get out of messes. He does it again. It's 1-1 into the 6th. This is the point of weakness inning for Doc Ellis. Leading off is Bill Melton. 65 flies to center. Ken Anderson, 38, grounds is short. Lamar Johnson, 66, double 1 to 14 gets it. Now you got the runner at second. And it's been 3 plate appearances. This is normally, this is the bedtime for Lamar. Mom said you got to go to bed. So, Lamar Johnson normally exits after 3 at-bats because he has been in left field. Unfortunately, for the White Sox, no balls have been hit that way. Bob Coluccio is going to pinch run. The defensive replacement, you remember him, the guy who threw the guy out the plate in the 12th inning yesterday? He's going to pinch run. He's a 15 runner at second base with 2 outs, and it's Buddy Bradford. 1-8 misses the column again. A strikeout. He's rolled 1-6, 1-7, and 1-8. Coluccio would just take over in left field. That's the only change for the White Sox. They brought in some defense. Bottom of the 6th, it'll be Bill Robinson. 2-8, double 1 to 5. It's a base hit for the second time. Now you got George Hendrick. 59 is second C. Runner in scoring position for Orlando Cepeda. Could this be the last go-around for him? His career might be winding down here today. 1-7 Cepeda, single 1 to 17. He gets it. Runners on the corners. You bring it up in this case? I mean, Sanchez was the offense. In the 13-inning loss, when the high player scored just twice, it was the Sanchez home run that did it. So you gotta guard against that. Sanchez has ground ball Bs in the entire let's look at the card. Let's just look at this thing, folks. Here it is. This is the Celerino Sanchez card. If you're wondering, he was on the retired list, meaning that he had a card in the league in 1972, but the team did not want to keep him, and he wasn't good enough to make the waiver list, and so he was just kicked into retirement, even though, well, he wasn't retired. He still played in 1973 with 64 at-bats and a home run, hit .219. Now, the Ohio players had nothing but 4 E37s at third base. They saw the Sanchez card. They looked it up, found out the E rating was E18. He's a 3 E18 at third base with power versus lefties. So they said, hey, why don't you come? And he's been great. He's got some big hits this year. He had a 2-run homer yesterday. And as you can tell, he's got a bunch of ground ball Bs in the 2 column. So the White Sox will bring the infield up. And here's your pitch to Celerino Sanchez. 4-11 is first C, but the infield was up. So the runner at first moves to second. The runner at third holds. It's 2 outs. And it's Ivan De Jesus. Might as well take a look at him also here. Yeah, you know, all they had was 4 E48s at shortstop on their team. And they saw that Ivan De Jesus was a 3 E20. So they didn't care that he hit 184. They went out and got him. On your bench, you have nothing but lefties if you wanted to pinch hit in this moment. But they're just going to let him swing away. Here we go. Ivan De Jesus, here's the pitch. 1-9, it's an Ivan De Jesus base hit to left field. 1 run scores, and we had Cepeda. Yeah, we never pinch around for him, did we? No. Oh boy, he's an 8. 8, 9, 10. Who's in left field? Oh, Coluccio. No. In the spirit of the game, I don't run on an 8, so yeah. Runners in the corners with 1 run in, and it's Pepe Mangual. 2-6 is a ground ball to third. It's a 2-1 game, though, as we go to the 7th inning. Doc Ellis needs to hang in there for another inning or 2 or 3. Leading off for the White Sox is Tony Muser. 2-7's a base hit to left field for the C Steeler. Now, if you're Bucky Dent, you do a hit and run here just to switch things up a bit. You haven't got a hit on your card yet today. Let's do a hit and run with Bucky Dent. He moves the runner up on an 8. That's good. Otherwise, it would have been a fielder's choice. So that's good. 4-3. Runner goes to second. Muser's in scoring position. Back up top to Orta. And then Stinson. George Orta. 56 off Doc Ellis. A base hit to center field. Do you run Muser to tie it? He's a 12. No, they're not going to do it. They're going to pump the brakes. Sort of the same thing that these guys did, pumping their brakes. They're also going to pump the brakes. You're not going to get overly regressive here. Runners in the corners, 1 out. They want the point of weakness. If they get the point of weakness on Ellis, I might just let them finish the inning with the point of weakness and then find somebody else in the 8th. That's what we'll probably do. Runners in the corners, 1 out. Infields comes up for Bob Stinson. Saw the card earlier. 49, second C. Runner moves in a scoring position, just like this scenario. You got second and third in this scenario with 2 outs. Dick Allen, can you do what Ivan De Jesus did and get the RBI single? I know, Dick, it's a lot of pressure to be able to match the feet of Ivan De Jesus. Here's the pitch to Dick Allen. 56, he gets it. He gets it off of Ellis. 1-1, single ... and that's a 2-run single. Moreover, it's the automatic ... so you don't even have to run the runner. And Dick Allen gets the 2-run single in the top of the 7th. The White Sox have the lead, and Doc Ellis is at the point of weakness. And where do you go from here? What do you do? What switch do you throw? There's nothing to do. Let's let Doc Ellis see if he can get out of the 7th inning. He is Doc Ellis. He's at the point of weakness. And looks like 4, 7, and 8 will be hits. Though they wouldn't score runs anyway. Here's the pitch to Bill Melton. 65 flies to center field. Well, there we go. 3-2 game here in wonderful Dayton, Ohio. Home of the Ohio players. We are enjoying, as soon as this thing comes up, if it ever does. Yeah. Okay, yeah, maybe, is it there? Maybe something went wrong. Yeah, it always does. There we go. We are enjoying the Fire LP of 1974 by the Ohio players. Fire, Running from the Devil, I Want to Be Free, It's All Over. No, it's not. It's not It's All Over. It's not all over. Let's get some fire going in this one. Yeah, let's give them some fire. This is the end of their season, man. Last chance. 3 innings left. 3-2 game. Do the White Sox decide they want to improve their defense a little bit before Wilbur Wood takes the slab in the bottom of the 7th? Orta batted for the 4th time. You could put Glenn Beckert at second base. They will. And do you want to attempt to slow the high players down a little bit with Brian Downing? Sure, let's do that. All replacements are in for the White Sox. With a 3-2 lead and 9 outs away to go to get a sweep and go to the American League Championship Series. A completely unorthodox way of getting to the American League Championship Series. Here's a team that was just 5 games over 500 and literally watched everybody else in the American League burn themselves down, including the Tigers and the Twins, and to a lesser extent the Oakland A's, for not capturing the 2 spot. And the White Sox got this cookie, this Ohio cookie, could theoretically put them in the ALCS. But we still got 9 outs to get, folks. And the Ohio players are a plucky bunch. Leading off, it's Dave Cash. 412 flies to center. Dan Driesen. 49 short X. This is Dent of 2E16. There you go. They got a fixer. There you go. What'd I say? Get yourself a Concepcion, a Harrelson, a Boa, Belanger, somebody like that at short. You can put that on your application for extended playoff series. Ike Brown. 49 short X again. And it's an out again. 2 short X's in the inning off Bucky Dent. Shame he doesn't have any hits today. He could be the series MVP for all the hits he had in games 1, 2, and 3. 3-2 in the 8th. Broken Doc Ellis. He sat in the dugout with a towel around his neck. They were feeding him Gatorade and who knows what else he was popping in his mouth. But he's going back out there for the 8th inning at the point of weakness for at least one more round. You know, he came out. He was Muhammad Ali. He came off that chair while Joe Frazier just sat on his. So Doc Ellis is coming out for the 8th inning, already broken. He'll face Ken Henderson. 45 pops to second. Bob Coluccio. 57 is a K. And with 2 outs, it's Buddy Bradford. 2-8 is a K. And 8 innings, we're going to call it after 8 for him. That's, yeah. In the spirit of the game, I'm not going to let him go for a complete game at when he broke in the 7th inning. Just don't think that would be very fair. Bottom of the 8th, 3-2 game. Wilbur Wood is a starter 8. Gossage is warming. We know this team is better against righties and lefties. But you have Driesen already batted. So you've got righty, 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 righty. You've got 8 righties in a row. But of course it means you invite Larry Lentz, Carlos May, Elrod Hendricks. Do you go for the 2-inning save? And I am of the opinion, first of all, Bill Robinson kills lefties. Cepeda does well as well. It's just a one-run game. I've been saying all along, it's a team sport. You don't let Wilbur Wood play Superman. I'm going to pull Wood after 7. And look, Gossage is a relief 4. He's only pitched 1 inning in 3 games. So I am going to use my 2 innings of Goose Gossage here. Rich Gosh is going to come in and see if he can get the final 6 outs of this thing. I'm sure you'll see all 3 pinch hitters at some point in this inning. Rich Gossage, 75, 9-8, .184 ERA in 142 innings, trying to get the final 6 outs. His defense is behind him. He's got a 1-run lead. He blew a save last time the Chi Sox were on YouTube against Oakland. And they lost that game in extra innings. So he needs a comeback. Of course, that wasn't Gossage's fault. It was his defense's fault. But he comes on in the 8th, Rich Gossage, and will face Bill Robinson. 2-8 is a single. He's been on all 4 times. Bill Robinson having a day. Now you got George Hendrick. 3-11 pops to first. He said just the opposite. He's been out all 4 times today. Now you got Orlando Cepeda, which could very well be the final at-bat of the year for him. Here's the pitch to Orlando. 65 is second C. The tying run is in scoring position, right, which is a 14 runner, and we will have a pinch hitter for Celerino Sanchez. Let's see here. Well, it seems obvious to me. It's got to be Carlos May. Carlos May, former Chicago White Sox. He's in here now, trying to ruin the White Sox season. Let's take a look at Carlos May. He and Dick Allen had a nice pregame meal together, and they are chatting in the batting practice with each other. 73, not nearly as good as he was in 72, though he did have 20 home runs and at 268. White Sox wanted to improve on that, so they got Lamar Johnson to take that spot in the lineup. Carlos May found a home in a platoon situation here with the White Sox. Here with the Ohio players. Runner at second. 2 outs. Rich Gossage against his former teammate, Carlos May. And here is the pitch. 56 is a walk. Base open. Now the winning run, or the lead runs at first, and Carlos May. Remember, he got thrown out on the bases yesterday in the 12th inning. Batting for Ivan De Jesus, you have a rock and a hard place. May. They're going to go Larry Lintz here. Let's take a look at Larry. Well, the options were Elrod Hendricks, who hits 215, and Larry Lintz, who hits 238. But Larry does it all against righties. He's got a bunch of singles, single dots, and walks on his card. So a reasonable chance. Remember, Larry Lintz had the single in the 12th inning that Carlos May got thrown out at third on. He has a chance to get the big hit again and hope Bill Robinson doesn't get thrown out at the plate. Here's your pitch to Larry Lintz. 6-10 off of Gossage's catcher's X. This won't score the run. It's Downing, a 2E5 catcher, need the error. And they do not get it. They get the pass ball foul out. To end the threat. To end the threat here. Oh boy. Now I gotta say, going into this, I know the results are what they are, but I really thought Ohio offense would do much better than what they've been doing. They have stunk up the joint. They scored individual runs of games 1 and 2. 2 runs yesterday on a Sanchez homer, and just 2 runs today. White Sox started red hot, cooled off a little bit on the road. It's a 3-2 game as we go to the 9th inning. Looking at substitutions, it's I need a shortstop. For shortstop is fine. Carlos May, I need a third baseman. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put a catcher in here. We'll put Elrod Hendricks. Gossage isn't going anywhere. Let's put him in the Mangual spot. Carlos May will play left field. And they have all their lefties in there for what that's worth. 9th inning. We are going to go Larry Demiri for an inning. Larry went 2 2/3. He's good for about an inning today, and and then we got to start being realistic about this. 9th inning, Demiri has a really nice year in 1975. 7-5, a 2.90 ERA for the Pirates in 115 innings. I believe that he would have been on the playoff roster. And 75 for the Pirates. I think they win the division in 75 and the Phillies win it in 76, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that. Leading off in the 9th, it's Tony Muser. 49, second X, Dave Cash, 2E22, makes the play. Bucky Dent, 5'9", skies to center field. And with 2 outs, it's Glenn Beckert in the leadoff spot now. 3-4, a comebacker to the mound. Bottom of the 9th here. This is the last gasp. Trying not to avoid a 4-game sweep. It's Hendricks and then Cash, Driesen, Brown, Robinson. 2 of the first 3 batters are left-handed. That's good for the Ohio players. Leading off, it is former Oriole, Elrod Hendricks. 3-6, he draws a walk, the 215 hitter. He's a 10 runner, and that's not awful. And he would run in the scoring scenario at this point. The only thing as far as when I just say I'm not going to run, the one hard and fast rule I have is I don't run 8s from first to score on a double. From the spirit of the game thing. I just don't think an 8, I mean, by the time he gets around second and cruises in the third, he's already dropping port. He's dropping anchor there. I just don't think he can score from first on a double if you're an 8 runner. Hendricks, however, is a 10, so we'll cut them some slack. Now you got Dave Cash. Dave Cash was an all-star. He was up in the leading the league in hits for a decent part of the year for Ohio. Here's the pitch to Dave Cash. 4-11 off Gossage's right X. In right field, he's a 2E3, Buddy Bradford. And he gets a fly ball 9. Again, it's all these little improvements the White Sox have been piecing together year after year. Bucky Dent's a 2. Aparicio was a 3 at short. And then they got Coluccio as a 2 in the corner. And they have Bradford as a 2 in the corner. And they both threw guys out on the bases in the last game. Now you got number 3 hitter Dan Driesen. Probably the most serious threat until Carlos May. By that time the game will have been over. Dan Driesen, let's take a look at Dan's card. It's his 73 card, but practically it will be renewed. The thing with Driesen, of course, the Cincinnati Reds have so many guys, they can't keep them all. So Driesen is not on the protected list. Ohio swoops down and gets him. Now we know, Driesen played for the Reds during this timeline, but the Ohio players are like, hey, we're not letting you go. We're just going to keep renewing your contract. You are solid all the way through the mid to late 80s, Dan Driesen. So that's how you can, put a foundation together. So here's the pitch to Dan Driesen. 34, oh boy, is a 4-6-3 double play to end the game. Wow, didn't see that one coming. GBA with a runner at first and 1 out, and that is it. Normally we were expecting the strikeout fireworks from Gossage, and we got a twin killing to end the game. A 2-inning save and back-to-back 3-2 wins. This is what you got to do. This is if you want to win, and it's about winning. It doesn't matter what the score is. You want to win 8-0 if you can, but you want to win a lot of 3-2 games, particularly on the road. And the White Sox have been battle-tested this year with a very tough schedule. And they finally got some relief in the lesser talented Ohio player team. 3-2 is your final. We'll take this right to the post-game box. 2 wins in 4 games for Wilbur Wood. That's the recipe for success. At least here. You don't need to keep doing that, though. Again, his card is not nearly as good as it once was. Doc Ellis gave up 3 runs on 9 hits. They were all earned. He walked a batter, struck out 6. Gossage gets himself a 2-inning save, a hit and 2 walks. Another good outing for Wilbur Wood. So 3 out of his last 4 starts have been very good. He's pitched 6, 6, 7, and 7 innings. 10 hits, 2 runs allowed. Didn't walk anybody, struck out 3. 1019, 0109, 39211. 1623, 2316. Normally, you know, teams will be jumping all over themselves, you know, to go to the League Championship Series, you know, dumping that champagne on each other. Yeah, I get it. White Sox have been there. They know what that tastes like. They just haven't won the LCS, and they haven't gone to a World Series. So now, as a heavy favorite, much more calm celebration. I mean, they're happy, of course, but no reason to go over the top here. They were expected to win, and they did. Ohio's regression is still a fantastic season. And we get to their stats first. So this is the stat. This is fantastic. Ohio players finished 28 and 24. I'll flash it up for you because they're easy to find, these things. Elimination 2024. So right here. Last year, they won 10 games. They were 10 and 21. The year before that, they won 8 games. They were 8 and 17. They won 18 games the last 2 years combined. Had the first pick in the draft both times. First time, they traded for and took Vita Blue's 75 card. Then in the second first round pick, it was Vita Blue by improving him to his 76 card in a 4-year contract, because the 76 Vita Blue was the best pitcher of that year. So that's what they have done. And suddenly this pitching staff, Vita Blue 8 and 5, 7 complete games. Lynn McLaughlin, he was 6 and 7 with 4 complete games. Doc Ellis 5 and 3 after losing that one. Bullpen is terrible. Jesse Jefferson actually wasn't that bad. Only 6 runs allowed in 15 innings. Mike Norris was bad. 18 runs in 15 innings. And the 2 most reliable pitchers were Larry Demiri and Tom Hall. Let's start with Demiri, the setup guy. 2-0 with 5 saves as a setup guy, but gave up 10 runs in 16 innings. That's an ERA north of 5. And lastly, most incredulously, Tom Hall, the closer. The closer had 0 saves. A team that just appeared in the American League Divisional Series, their closer did not have a save. He was 4 and 4. So imagine a pitcher with no decisions and 8 saves. Maybe that's what Tom Hall should have done. 18 and 2/3 innings, 24 hits, 14 runs allowed. So his ERA is north of 6. And we'll see all these stats when we do an Eliminating the Ohio Players video. Bill Robinson was a star of this team. 10 homers and 26 RBIs. Dave Cash led the club in hits with 66. And Larry Lynch was a fine little catalyst with 20 stolen bases. The offense hit .267, but clearly cooled off in this series versus the White Sox. They have a .362 earned run average. Now your White Sox, who have really caught fire. Your White Sox are now 27 and 18, second best record in the American League behind Baltimore. They have come a long way. They were flirting around 500. They took 5 of 7 against the Twins. They beat the A's 3-2, and a sweep today. All the belly aching about Wilbur Wood, he's now 10 and 6. But check this out. Just a single complete game out of Wilbur Wood. And maybe that's the recipe. Don't wear the guy out. You have the ability to pitch him on 2 days rest anyway. Doesn't mean he needs to pitch 9 innings on 2 days rest. He's given up 55 runs in 123 innings. That's a 4.02 ERA. It was much worse than that. So he's brought it down. The winning games. Jim Cott's 7-3. He struggled initially coming out of March and April, but he's been on fire since. Bart Johnson, just 3-1, because for whatever reason he gets a lot of no decisions, but he's been fantastic. He's got an 25 times 9 divided by 68. He's got a 3.30 ERA. And Jerry Bell's actually pitched pretty well. He's 4-2. ERA just over 3. Gossage has 12 saves. The troubling thing, though, is that he's got 1 win, and Forster and Gossage have 6 losses. They're 1-6. Take that away from the 1-loss record. The White Sox would be 26-12 and have the best record in the American League. So that's a lot of losses for Gossage. I ain't going to sugarcoat that. Looking at it, it's the walks. He's got 18 walks, 24 strikeouts, 19 hits, 13 runs allowed. He's got an ERA of 3.44. He should have an ERA sub 2. Dick Allen's got 8 homers and 32 RBIs. That paces the club. Those are good numbers. They're not great numbers. He's walked just 15 times. Struck out 40. I mean, he can still do better. So the arrow is still pointing up for Dick Allen. He's only hitting 259. So he hasn't needed to put his Superman cape on, but might need it if they go up, because they're going to face either Baltimore or Oakland in the next round. White Sox are hitting 265, and that ERA after 4 dynamite pitching performances is down to 3.44. Pretty good. Pretty good team ERA. Using all their pieces do the White Sox. Let's look here. The White Sox were in this situation a year ago. They beat Detroit 4-1. Today, 4-0. And they're 9 over 500. And Ohio players are 28-24. So we don't know. The White Sox may get home field. Baltimore hosts Oakland. Oakland's a 4, Baltimore's a 1. Of course, Baltimore would host the White Sox in the LCS. The White Sox would host Oakland in the LCS. That's it today, folks. Break up the White Sox. Very workmanlike, very steady, very professional way of dispatching the overmatched Ohio players. 4 straight game sweep. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.